Good to go.
Hey, Star Wars fans and Rule the Galaxy friends. It is Joe in another episode of the Rule the Galaxy podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for being a part of the first 382 episodes. This is chapter 383 of the Rule the Galaxy podcast. You can follow us on all social media. We are on all podcast platforms of choice. And we are, obviously, if you're watching us now, we're on YouTube. We try to do the show live on YouTube. We appreciate any likes, subscribes, everything like that. Tonight is going to be a fun show. Last week was a little hectic, a little crazy with the holiday, with the race here in Indianapolis. Not a local podcast, as my son would say. But yeah, with all that going on and all of our families going in different directions, we didn't get to catch up and talk about Mando and other things. So we're glad to have you back. We're glad to be back together. Right now, I do know that D-Doc and myself are here. Alfie cannot make it this evening, and we'll wait and see if Mr. Brent Dykman shows up. But we've got some great guests here in chapter 383 of the Rule of the Galaxy podcast. But I want to turn it over and say hey to my good friend from Philly, D-Doc. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Busy day. Eye is twitching a little bit. I'm tired, but I'm excited to talk a little Star Wars. It's I've been itching to talk Mando and Grogu, so it's an exciting show tonight. I said to my little guy who has homework that he kind of like deceived me on that he was supposed to be doing earlier. I was like, do you have anything you want to say about the movie? So I got a little snippet from him of what he wanted to say about it. But yeah, I'm excited.
Well, good.
Excited to do a show tonight.
Your video was great with you and your son surprising him. I'm so glad you did that. And so, yeah, definitely want to hear what some of his thoughts were about. Oh, we got an alternate account for Dr. Squatch.
Oh,
wow. Okay. That's odd. Alternate account for Dr. Squatch. Yeah, that was great. My wife, I'm going to throw this in. We're not going to do all the Mando stuff right now, but I will say before I forget, my wife went the initial time we went to go see it. She went with me, Brent, and our good friend Tom Line, who does some shows with me from time to time. Her quotes are this: I like the movie. It was fun. But as a 53-year-old grandmother, I wouldn't be taking my young grandkids to go see it yet. A little too violent, a little too graphic for what she would want to see.
Kids need a little violence.
Come on. I was watching Return of the Jedi on VHS and Empire Strikes Back. Are you kidding me? The Cave on Dagobah for a little kid at 4 years old rewinding a VHS tape, I think it's fine.
No,
yeah, that's some dark stuff.
Yeah. That's okay. D-Doc will tell you about his, seeing Anakin burn with his son. That's another story for another time. But she did like it. She said she liked it better than Solo. She liked it better than Revenge of the Sith. See, as you can see, my wife is not into the darker, violent, whatever. She likes it to be the Phantom Menace a little bit, the Force Awakens a little bit. Those are her kind of things. Return of the Jedi with the Ewoks. That's her spiel. That's her side of things. But before I forgot, and since she's not in here, because I was going to have her come in and do this, but with us having guests, I didn't want to make her do that. So yeah, so that was her 2 points on it. She was like, it's good, it's fine. She loved Grogu. She loved the Babu Freaks, the Anzellans. She thought the comedy and the humor was great. She loved all that. But yeah, she said, a lot of knife fighting, a lot of monsters fighting. She's like, okay, thank you. It'd be our love. Hey, amen. I'll say that to you right there. So yes, but D-Doc, you and I can talk all night, but really tonight, I'd rather just be a host and sit back, because I think we've got two gentlemen with us who can bring their A game and bring a lot to the table for us. And we'll start with somebody who we met at random at the Mando showing 25-minute show back on May the 4th. And, I know him as PopStarIndy on Instagram, but Ross, welcome to the show. And you're also part of Fantha Tracks, which is great because we're great friends with the Fantha Tracks people. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, Joe, Dave, thank you so much. Will, incredible to get to meet you and learn more about you as everything's going on as well. But this is what it's all about, right? It's that Star Wars found family and positivity and all those elements. So it is, I can't wait to talk about this. I've seen the film 4 times now, twice at our very nice IMAX theater downtown here in Indianapolis. So I am local, and that was the funny part of being at that Mando and Grogu thing where I'm wearing the Fantha Track shirt, and Joe jumps out of line to be like, "Hey, let me talk to you for a minute." So that was super fun. But that is just that's what you get going to Star Wars events. And like Will, imagining you and I my buddy Dan Zare from Coffee with Kenobi, like being on the red carpets and things like that. That's exciting, and getting to celebrate one another doing things as well. So thank you guys for having me, and looking forward to all the chatter.
Yeah, we're glad to hear you're here. And it's funny. Also in that line, my Uncle Matt, who's done a show with us, and we showed off his museum that he has here in Indianapolis, part of the Indiana collectors group, the Star Wars collectors group. They were there, and a couple of them, I had just bought items from them a week or two before at some events we were at, and great people. So yeah, it's a small community, even though it's across the world. We have these little touch points where we're making friends like this. So I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad the connections we have. The next one we're gonna throw it out there. This guy, you've been taking it by storm, Will. I tell you what, I can't flip on any of my social media platforms without seeing you buzzing around something Star Wars related. So we're really glad to have you, and we're glad that, one, you met my son, and then two, that you chimed in with a show of ours recently and made a contact with us. So Will of the Force, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I appreciate you guys. I've actually been a listener for you guys for quite some time now. I've been subbed. I've been subbed for a while on YouTube. So I'm a first-time guest, long-time listener, I guess. This is fun. I'm super stoked to be here. I have seen Mando and Grogu 2.25 times because I saw it twice, and then I was also at the IMAX fan thing that they did on May 4th. So I've seen it not as many times as I'd like to. I'm still itching for that third time seeing it full. But I cannot wait to talk about it. This movie is interesting in a lot of ways that I was not expecting it to be. And I think that's what, the more I sit with it, makes me love it more. So I can't wait. And I'm stoked to be here. So thank you guys for having me.
Well, thanks. Well, everybody knows a little bit about me and D-Doc. So before we get into it, let's, if you don't mind, let's kind of rewind. And I'll start back with you, Ross. Your Star Wars fandom, kind of a Cliff Notes version, and what brought you to where you are in the Star Wars world. And obviously you mentioned Coffee with Kenobi and Fantha Tracks. What got you from 1977 to here, right? Like what made your Star Wars fandom tick, and what are you doing in the Star Wars community right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically always been a part of my life. I'm in my low 50s right now.
Welcome to the club. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know that I always come across that. People think younger, and I'm just like, no, I'm just incredibly immature. So that's how that typically works. But it has been, I remember seeing The Empire Strikes Back in theaters. One of the biggest, like, I'm an adrenaline junkie, and that's why I love sports so much, and entertainment, and what can I go to that's going to be like, oh, what gets the endorphins going? How am I watching other people enjoy things? And it was, last weekend, however many years ago, for Return of the Jedi in Ocean City, Maryland. And I went with, it was a group of parents that got a Memorial Day weekend, like 3 houses next to each other at the beach. There's like 15 kids, all younger. I was so spoiled. I had every single action figure, everything that was happening. Like my parents took care of me very well with all that. So no complaints there, but it was just constantly part of what I was doing. But seeing Return of the Jedi that night and seeing news camera crews there and just being like, oh my God, look at all of this fanfare that goes around it. And then it was incredible. And, from this, I can hear the speeder bikes right now going through Endor, and just being able to latch onto that at any given moment is amazing. And then it was just it would ebb and flow over time. as books started coming out, it was just like, oh, awesome. Prequels come out. Any element, new rounds of action figures, things like that. I'm, as it looks like the three of you are as well. I'm a collector. I love this stuff. Like, it is just like, oh, this figure is incredible because of this. My best friend since third grade is a huge Star Wars fan too. So when I started working in the NFL, like days off and during the off season, when figures came out, when the Phantom Menace is coming out, like we're taking trips like in the Maryland area, and we're going into DC and Virginia, hitting like every Toys R Us imaginable, trying to hit everything. So it was part of who we were as a friend group as well.
Yeah.
So it always went beyond the screen, and we just had all these expansions. So all of that. And then Rogue One happens, which is my favorite Star Wars film, and supplanted The Empire Strikes Back. Still, like, again, Star Wars films to me are like an ice cream shop. Like, my least favorite flavor there, I'm going to eat all of it. So, but then you get the other ones, and it's just like, oh, this is incredible. And the books, what's happened there. I've done so many book reviews, some for Fantha Tracks, some for other areas and things like that as well. But like when you think of a bloodline and the background that gives on the Hutt Slayer with Leia, there's just so much richness and expansion across everything. So that's how I stay involved. And then I worked for Reed Pop as a volunteer in Chicago.
Okay.
And that kind of took it up another whole level of just like, oh, I need to be doing more of this stuff. Attended Anaheim. My wife and I went to Japan last year.
Good
and
for
went
you.
to Celebration Japan. And somehow we got our tickets. Well, not somehow, but thanks to Dennis Keithley of Podcast Stardust, we were able to get our tickets to Celebration LA. So,
okay.
Again, family looking out for family, because that was not the easiest thing. That was the trench run getting tickets right then. But that is the long-winded, quick story, I guess is the way to put it.
No, that's fantastic. And you're right. D-Doc and Alfie and myself were doing the same thing. That ticket thing was, we were on pins and needles. It was a little stressful, but
Joe is always on time, and I'm late for everything. Thank God Joe was on time to get in line for those tickets.
A couple quick things to go along with this. One, D-Doc, you're going to love this. Ross has done some work with the Ravens, the Redskins, now Commanders, the Browns. Is that right?
Correct.
Browns. And then with the NFL Network.
Correct.
So there you go. We got an Eagles fan, a Steelers fan.
Well, I am an Eagles fan, though.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So,
go Birds.
Go Birds, Dave.
Will was not too happy about that. While you were speaking, real quick, I did want to throw this out there. Jason Hatfield, one of our good friends, he's really become part of our community here at Rule of the Galaxy. He wanted to know if you saw the giant Wookiee at the State Museum. I'm pretty sure you did, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. And then also Jason wanted me to give everybody a notice, because I know on our social media we were sending it out there. Jason's grandson, Cody, has been battling cancer. Always a tough story, but he wanted to let us know great news. He's still classified as a 2, but due to some traces in his lymph nodes, but nothing concerning, and immunotherapy should eradicate. So hopefully, everything will keep moving forward on his grandson, Cody. So thoughts, prayers, wishes out to him always.
Yeah, man.
And Jason, you're the best. You've taken care of me, D-Doc, and Alfie so many times, and it's been great. As a matter of fact, Ross, Jason was there with us at that showing that we met there. So Dr. Squatch wanted to give you guys both some comments. The guests are wearing some incredible stuff tonight. I'm partial to Dex's Diner, but love the Maul hoodie too. There we go. So that's great. Let's see. Oh, and there's Jason. Thanks, Joe. You're welcome, Jason. So, so wanted to throw that out there and get going on that. Will, I tell you what, like I said, one, it made me feel really great. You mentioned that my son was nice to you and gave you a comment years ago. You always want to hear good things about your kids. So thank you for doing that. But give us your kind of whirlwind story. Because like I said, in the last, I don't know, 6 months, like everything I see, I'm like, oh my gosh, Will's doing this, Will's doing that. He's putting out great content. So what kind of really got that going and in your Star Wars fandom and love and everything like that?
So I say often that when people say they've been a Star Wars fan their entire life, that's not exactly a unique thing anymore. I'm just another one of the bunch. I've been a Star Wars fan since I've mentioned it earlier about Return of the Jedi on VHS. I have the special edition box set that my grandmother had back there. For some reason, my grandparents are not Star Wars fans. I was born in 1996, so I am exactly as old as the special editions.
Oh my gosh.
I am exactly as old as Shadows of the Empire as well. So, and I love Shadow of the Empire. But my grandmother, for some reason, purchased the special edition box set for the all 3 VHS tapes that came with like a film reel of Chewbacca and A New Hope, and then some of the Macquarie posters, and then it had the posters of the special edition art. And that was upstairs. I was a loud, large ADHD kid, and I was the only grandson and the only grandkid at the time. So they'd go. I'm William Diamond III, so my nickname is 3. They'd go, 3, go upstairs and figure something out. So I'd go upstairs while the adults were talking, figure out how to use a VHS player, and Return of the Jedi, to me, had the coolest poster from the special editions on the box. So that was the one I plugged in first, and I've been hooked ever since. Like I said, I'm born 96, so I am of the belief that I grew up in the best time to be a Star Wars fan, of the time of the prequels. I say a lot. You talk about Toys R Us, you talk about kids stuff, you talk about merchandise, but also like video games during that time. There were so much books, obviously, but then also like Mando and Grogu's in Burger King right now. I've actually got the Zeb Burger King toy right here, but like
nice.
As a kid going to Burger King for Revenge of the Sith or Attack of the Clones or like Taco Bell and KFC and Pizza Hut was the third for like that. And like, dude, I've been a fan of Marfalump from the Pepsi marketing forever. Are you kidding me? Like
Marfalump.
But going to see all of that stuff as a kid, but also like the OT was also celebrated during that time of the prequels. It just made me a fan of everything that was going on for those movies. And then I'm a nerd. So when I find one thing that I like, I want to know everything about it. And then I also, in that box set, got to watch the behind the scenes stuff. That's why I went to film school. That's why I talk about this stuff on the internet. I have been bred for this since a very young age. And growing up as a big nerd, I'm a big sports guy as well. So I was always talking to other people about sports. Not really a lot of times. Star Wars wasn't necessarily the coolest thing when you were a kid, and neither was comic books, which is like the other half of my room right here in this office. But loving that stuff as much as I have, it got to a point where after my wife and I got married, I was like, look, I can either keep talking her ear off. And my parents, who are already just like, look, Star Wars is on FX. You can turn it on. We already know a lot about
it.
It's been my whole life. I was like, I can either keep talking to my wife about this and yelling at the wall about Star Wars, or get on the internet and talk about it. And 4 years ago, right about before Ahsoka season 1 came out, I was like, maybe I'll try this, because I worked in social media and did some other stuff, but never really like the niche of Star Wars, although I've been a fan for my whole life. And then, over the last 4 years, I've just been yapping about Star Wars on the internet and finding cool people like yourselves to yap about it with. So that's kind of my whole MO.
Love it.
That's fantastic. I appreciate it. D-Doc.
I do have to say, I understand we have 2 out of 4 of us who are Eagles fans. My grandfather played for the Steelers.
No way.
Awesome.
But I'm a Giants fan. So sorry. Sorry. My grandfather played a very long time ago. He was drafted by the 49ers and ended up getting traded for the Steelers, played for the Steelers for 9 years. So I love the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, awesome.
I love Pittsburgh. But I'm a New York Giants fan. I'm a New York sports fan. So what are you going to do?
So D-Doc, I'm going to give you some time to ask some questions, but I have to throw this out there. 1, I'm Joseph Frank Molinaro III. So We got 3 love going on here.
There you
3 is a
go.
magic number. My wife was a huge Eli Manning fan, so we have some love for the Giants.
Come on!
It's very weird. I've been, Indianapolis didn't have a team when I was growing up, so the Steelers became my team. Oh, Michael Nip, who we love Michael Nip, but he always
Come on,
go
Nip.
Cowboys. Nip.
Just unnecessary to even comment that, you know?
Yeah, come on, Michael.
We appreciate the engagement, but what are we doing even typing the sentence?
Yes.
NSFW.
Michael, what was the name of your podcast again? I want to tell these guys so they can go check it out because I'm blanking on it right now. I've had so much stuff in my head. We've been hacked. Thank you. Yes, Jason, we have been hacked. The other thing is, you guys have probably heard about it, seen it, whatever. And I know, Ross, you're here. Will, I don't know exactly where you're located, so it might be difficult. But if you like Pittsburgh, D-Doc will tell you that's going to become one of our meeting places because with D-Doc being in Philly and me, Alfie, and Brett being in Indy, it's halfway in between. And I can go there and walk them through and show them a little bit of everything. Plus, we can get some Iron City beers and hang out. So if you ever want, there's Steel
If
City
you're
Con.
tempting me with a Permane Brothers sandwich, I'll be there in a
Permane,
heartbeat.
yeah. Permane's and Steel City Con, which we love Steel City Con. It was so good. We got to figure out a way to get back there. But it's a good event. And my uncle Matt does know the guys who run it. So maybe we can pull some strings and see if we can do some extras. But there we go. Cinema Debrief, Michael Nip and Garrison Rifen. Gosh, I was going to say Scott Rifen. They run a thing called a podcast called Cinema Debrief where they review movies. I was blanking the name and there's just too much stuff bouncing around in my head. So I knew I wanted to get all that out before I send it over to D-Doc. So D-Doc, you've heard kind of where they come from, what's going on with them. Any questions for either of our 2 guests here before we get into more Star Wars stuff or Mando and all that?
I just keep looking at one of the stars of the Mandalorian movie on the shelf behind Will. I think I see Stinky right behind him.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Oh,
Dude.
that's beautiful.
I got this. I saw a guy who had 3D printed this the week. It was like the Monday before the premiere. And I messaged, was like, is there any way I can have this overnighted so I can bring this with me? And it didn't get here in time.
Oh,
But it got delivered the morning of the premiere here. Obviously, this is still the coolest thing. Like, this is completely 3D printed. It's extremely cool. But yeah, my goal was to bring this and be like, Favreau! And then like just hold it up, like Lion King it to him and have him sign it. But I'm still like, as a huge fan of the Clone Wars, knowing that this made it from the Clone Wars all the way to a live action Star Wars movie is insane. And knowing that Rada was a way bigger part of this movie than I think anybody thought he was going to be.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so happy to have this. And honestly, Rada kind of stole the show for the whole movie. So
That's like the exact like hologram they show of when
Yes.
they're like, this is the last
Yeah.
known dude. I let out like an out loud chuckle when they were like, this is the last known image we have of him, and that showed up. I was like, yes,
yes.
a little
that is
stinky.
awesome.
It's based on a maquette that Jon Favreau had hand painted. So this was in a lot of the you saw like a lot of creators and a lot of people go to Jon Favreau's like set studio over in California, and they had like the N1 and stuff in there. This was on one of the shelves in there, and that was released a little bit before the movie, and people just took it and ran with it. So this is like based completely off of that was on the shelf there. And I was not one of the ones
looks
lucky
awesome.
enough to go see it, but I'm very happy to have this.
Dude.
It is so
just put
creepy. Go ahead,
cots-
D-Doc.
Sorry, if they could just put cots in the middle of that and call that the Star Wars hotel, I would pay big money to just sleep in those like air hangers that they have all of that stuff in there, man.
Dude,
Just, like it's awesome.
it's so cool. And a Delphi base is like fully set up in that in those air hangers, like, and it's exactly how it's used in the movie as well as in Mando season 3. So man, look, as a behind the scenes nerd, I would live in that place. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'd pay a membership to go monthly and just go sit in it.
Believe it or not, that was some of my favorite images of the movie. was the Adelphi base, and just seeing the ships being wheeled in and out and them coming through the sun like they did and all that right there.
Really cool.
So Top Gun.
Yes, it felt
Filmed
like
in
I was
Laguna
watching-
Beach too.
Yes,
Which is really cool. Yeah.
nice.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but D-Doc, I like I said, I stole stuff. Go ahead, hit some questions or anything that you might have for either of these two gentlemen.
I'm not ready
besides
for
Robert.
I'm not ready for my next question. I'm still just kind of enjoying that Rod of the Hut right now.
I'll move
I'm
them
like
closer.
I'm like ready to talk about the movie. That's
Well,
my
we can
thing,
do that.
fellas.
We can
Like,
do
I'm
that.
like I'm juicing to talk about it.
I tell you what, I'm gonna do something here real quick. I went and I was like, okay, I'm gonna research, I'm gonna pull some things together, and I want to throw these things out to you guys and see, agree, disagree, and then we can just start right in the movie. Overall fan consensus of the Mandalorian and Grogu. You ready? Here's what the top searches said for the overall consensus of the movie. The movie is fun. It feels more like classic Star Wars adventure storytelling. It's a smaller scale and character-driven movie. Grogu and Din's relationship is the emotional core. The movie succeeds more emotionally than narratively. The biggest divide, some love the smaller screen adventure focus or the smaller adventure focus approach, while others think it feels too much like a Disney Plus episode or 4 Disney Plus episodes put into the theater. So that's just some beginning talking points. Any of those stand out to you as to things we should go down the pipeline and discuss? Go ahead, D-Doc.
If I could start on that, the Disney Plus episode thing gets to me, I'll say, because, and I was talking to my buddy who's big Star Wars fan. He knows way more about the lore than I do. He hasn't gotten to the theater yet to see it, and he's going to. But he was like, my buddy texted me and was like, yeah, it could have, he's like, it kind of reminded him of the show on Disney Plus. And I was like, here's the thing. I was like, we've been visually spoiled by the Mandalorian show being a TV show. Like you could put most of all 3 seasons of the Mandalorian in a box. Maybe there's some things that don't look great sometimes, but rarely ever. I feel like the Mandalorian's always been an extremely cinematic show. And I told him, I was like, it really did feel like it took the step up to the big screen. I was like, the X-Wings like looked like they were real in the beginning of the movie. Like they looked like they were actual things that exist in the world. Like I could just see those X-Wings flying by me. Like the bigger budget and everything to me was totally shown because the action sequences, it wasn't like it was just like a couple seconds of action and then like a downtime. Like there was layers of action in scenes. So I don't buy the, you could take anything that's been a TV show and a high budget TV show for years. And once they make a movie out of it, you could be like, oh, it reminded me of the TV show because the TV show existed before the movie came out. So
Funny how that works.
yeah, I don't like that. That's a take that kind of has gotten under my skin. I don't know.
Yeah, and
Ross or Will, go ahead.
I thought it was beautiful on the big screen, like the elements of how it was able to get bigger. But yeah, you know what? It's the Beskar armor. It is Grogu's little jacket and his little hairs. Like it is whatever screen that's on. But I think we're also in a place communication wise, technology wise, storytelling wise, where the big screen and the small screen, it's not that different anymore.
Right.
How often are we going to start seeing, if Netflix and Disney Plus and all these other areas are smart, they have a series of 8 episodes and then say, oh, by the way, next month, the finale comes out at your local theater.
Oh, that was the best when they were doing that after, like with Ahsoka, and they did that with episode 5. I think, didn't they do that with, there was one other thing that they did that with. That was the best when they did that. So much, the fan screenings.
Yeah.
Seeing the Purgle up on the giant screen. Like I had to drive, I drove up to Chicago, went and drove back that night for it. But there was, I would have driven further because it was gorgeous to see all of that.
Yeah, I waited
D-Doc?
in line. Joe's got a chuckle because I went on probably an all-time rant on Rule of Galaxy the night that happened because I got like the tickets for that show and I waited in line and literally I was the guy where I got to the table and they were just like theater's full and I was just like, what? I'm here. I'm the last one. There's not one more seat. And I went by myself. Like I was like, I just
Dave-
sat and waited in that line, and man, I was devastated.
I went through the same thing, and then Brooke McDonald, who is incredible, Disney follower, Star Wars follower, does music writing as well and things like that. She had her son sit on her lap so that I could take the seat next to her.
Oh, dude.
Nice.
So all time, like Brooke, everyone follow Brooke McDonald, follow her stuff on Instagram. She's incredible. But like that to me was everything because I was that next person. And luckily I was in the Fantha Track shirt and I think they took me a little bit more seriously because of that. And they're just like, let's try to get this guy in here. And then she stepped up and, just the greatest person in the world. So
That's awesome.
But
That is
just good vibes like that. That's how it works.
Yeah.
I know we've stepped into the pond here of Mando and Grogu, but do you mind if I do a quick rewind, just real quick? Will and Ross, we have not heard from either one of you on Maul, and I know it's a past thing now, but I know Will, you were involved with, I believe, a meet and greet and a showing and everything of the finale, perhaps, I think.
Yeah.
But I will say this, D-Doc and I are way, like, if there's anything that got me going again, like, our batteries were going low for a while. There wasn't anything going on, all that stuff. And then Maul hit. And I was like, I can't get enough of this show. This show was fantastic. And that's a gorgeous Funko Pop right there. But if you guys, want to take a quick, just couple minutes, talk about any of your thoughts of Maul, and then we'll give us a little bit of the red carpet thing, and then we'll hop right back into Mando. I didn't want to forget it and get to the end and go, oh, by the way, we were supposed to talk about Maul. So
Throw us off the rails. That's me. That's
no. Will, go. You talk about the red carpet, and then we'll let you two talk about Maul in general.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, because as somebody who lives kind of like a calendar, Maul happened first. So let me talk about that in terms of my own memory. Just before my brain fries. So was lucky enough to go out to San Francisco at Lucasfilm to go watch the first 2 episodes. I think it was about 3 days before the initial premiere of those first 2 episodes of Maul Shadow Lord. That was just look, Star Wars nerd, duh. That's a religious experience going to see the Yoda fountain. You're in San Francisco. We got to go on a tour earlier that day and walk through and see everything. I was literally wearing this exact outfit. Like religious experience. And then we get in there and I'm happy to know, or have at least not know personally, but have bumped into a lot of the people who were creators on the show. And people who I was able to meet over that show coming out, and getting to watch those first 2 episodes on a big screen in the theater that they are showing this to the Lucasfilm staff, was fantastic. I mean, through that first showing, I am lucky to say that I've been in the same room as Dave Filoni 4 times in the last couple of months. And that's something that I didn't think I'd be able to say. But as a huge Filoni fan, that was fantastic. But that first fan experience, they told us that in the email that it would be Brad Rao, Athena Portillo, and Matt Miknovitz, who all were kind of the big wigs on that show, as well as Dave Filoni, who told them like, "Hey, we should make this." And they're fantastic. Miknovitz, who I'm a huge fan of, wrote a ton on a bunch of other stuff. He wrote the Umbara arc of Clone Wars. Brad Rao's fantastic, did a lot on Bad Batch. Athena Portillo, who they refer to as the General a lot, she's phenomenal, and she's also so nice. All these people are so fantastic. But they come out on stage. a little bit later after the show for a panel. But just funny, quick story. There's a recording that's playing, and it's Sam Witwer's voice as Maul. And he's like, after you see this, you are all going to have to die. And like, you're like, oh, it's Sam Witwer, blah, 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 blah. But on the stage in front of us, and I got in a little bit early and put my backpack down. I was like the second row in. So there was nothing in front of me. And it was just for concerts and stuff, I'm a front row nerd as well. So like I have to be in the front. But that plays, and then the lights kind of come on and Sam walks out. So it wasn't recording. It was him talking. So I'm freaking out now because that's my goat when it comes to Star Wars in terms of like navigating the fandom and being a Star Wars fan, and also like being so deeply rooted in the work that you do for Star Wars. I've been lucky enough to interview him and do a panel with him and at Rebel ScumCon last year. Nicest guy. So thankful for him. But that was fantastic. And then in between that, I did a thing where they invited me out for Star Wars night for the first night this year at Disneyland. And I live in Denver, but I'm a Florida, like I've lived in Florida my whole life, except for this past year and a half, outside of living in New Jersey for college. So I'm from Florida. So I'm a Walt Disney World guy. Never had been to Disneyland before. Was really excited to go for the first time. And then also it was Star Wars night, which I had never been to either. So that was fantastic. And they did an event with Sam where he came out and talked a little bit about the show. So that was really cool. And then they did the finale event, which had come out the day of the premiere for the 2 final episodes with, spoiler alert, Darth Vader. But so truthfully, me and my 2 buddies, Luke's Outpost, and Grayson, my co-host on Determined Focus at Mortis FM, we stayed up because we all stayed at Luke's place, and we watched it way earlier than go. We were like, we're not waiting to see it. We got to see this right now. So we ended up watching it, and then we got to go and do the event, which was fantastic. Bump into David Collins. We talked a little bit to Brad Rao and Matt Miknovitz afterwards because they all stayed and they were talking to fans. But we talked to, I'm a big fan of, in the first episode, I did a video a while back. Chicken Parm is now canon in Star Wars thanks to Maul Shadow Lord. So yes. As a half Italian, half Polish guy, I was freaking out. I was like, that's the best cheese has ever looked in animation. So I did a video about that, and I guess it got around to Miknovitz at Lucasfilm, and I go up and I'm like, hey man, I just want you to know. I was like, these episodes were fantastic. I give it like a 9 out of 10 though. I'd be a 10 out of 10 if there was more chicken parm. And he goes, you're the chicken parm guy. So for some of the corridors within Lucasfilm, if I'm the chicken parm guy, that's all I need in my life. But it was a great event. David Collins, I'm such a fan of him. And outside of obviously his work throughout all of Star Wars with animation and everything he's done sonically within Star Wars, such a fan of him for he's hosted celebration stages for a very long time and done interviews for a very long time. And as somebody who's always wanted to do that and saw him as a lighthouse for that, getting to talk to him and him being so generous with his time of talking to me has been fantastic. David Collins is the best. I'm such a fan. RIP Spybot, RIP Spybot, because that was a bummer to see. But I love Maul Shadow Lord. It's very rare that you get something that's exactly what you wanted out of a project. And Maul Shadow Lord was that for me. And I don't say that to say that I expected everything to happen in the show. A lot of that stuff I was like, oh, if Maul has an apprentice, there's probably going to be some story beats here. There's some stuff that makes sense as to what you were going to see. It does make sense. A lot of people were speculating Vader, me being one of them. We ended up getting Vader. But everything that we got within that show was exactly what I wanted to see from that show as a Star Wars fan and as somebody who thinks Maul is the best villain in Star Wars. Personally, might be a hot take. He's the best Star Wars villain. But truthfully, that show was fantastically run. And I cannot wait that there's going to be a season 2 and potentially a season 3, maybe even a season 4, because they've said in interviews that they want to break that 2 to 3 season curse that a lot of Disney Plus series have. There's I think it's something like 15 years of unused time between when we see Maul at the end of Clone Wars to where we see him
Rebels.
in Rebels, and then there's the little blip in Solo. There's like 15 years. If you want to do a story a year, that's 15 seasons, and I want 15 seasons of Maul's Shadow Lord. So it's fantastic. 10 out of 10 all around. I am frothing at the mouth for next season.
Cool. I love it. Ross, how about you?
My jaw probably hit the floor harder during Solo when Maul showed up than when Vader said he was Luke's father.
Yeah.
I was like, I may have stood up. I'm just like, oh my God, what is Maul doing here? This is incredible. So I align with you very much there, Will. Like, what an amazing character. What I loved, building off of the points that Will made, is that it just took that next step from the Clone Wars season 7 to the Bad Batch to the animation is just so living and rugged and beautiful in all the most evil ways for a Maul story that that did it in and of itself. One of the things, and Will, big on comic books here as well, like that is primarily what I've been doing for Fantatrax lately, is the comic reviews of all the episodes. So we've got that going at the same time with Maul, with still more episodes coming out, giving more background on the other characters involved. So it is, I love when they tie those in together. So Marvel did that with Alphabet Squadron.
Yep.
And how that got factored in. Even like it was a much smaller run, but I love that additional, and I think it's the deep dives that all of us enjoy of, oh, how can I get a little more nerdy here? Like, yeah, I want to know what kind of breakfast cereal that was that Cyril was eating.
Yep.
How do I get into that in Andor? But it could be anything. So as you're getting these comics and that sort of storytelling with an Ethan Sachs, with, you know, the different people that are writing all of these, it's awesome. And there wasn't a second to me that was disappointing in the Maul series and season 2, season 3, season 14. If we can get that, bring it.
I think D-Doc would agree. The usual 4 hosts here, us and Brent and Alfie, we are all Filoni believers. It is something that we've all said, hey, we're in line. Let Filoni lead the way and let's see what happens. And I think that series was a perfect way for people who maybe, okay, should it be this person leading the way? Should it be that person leading the way? Whatever. When it's creative style, Filoni gets it. Like he gets it, and then he like you mentioned earlier with David Collins and with Sam Witwer. Filoni then surrounds himself with people who are so passionate about the projects. I mean, we look back at Ashley Eckstein, how, you know, James Arnold Taylor, D. Bradley Baker, the people that Dave surrounds himself with in the animation side, Vanessa Marshall, that goes on and on, right? I mean, we've had the luck and fortune to be able to speak with Vanessa and Nika Futterman and a few other people. Their love and passion for Star Wars blows me away. Not to say that the live action people aren't that way as well. There's probably plenty of them, but they just approach it, I think, in that different way because they can put so much of themselves in it, being that they only have to give that voice, right? They have to breathe that voice into that drawing that's being put out there. Like they are bringing it to life. When the live action person is that person, you have to kind of separate yourself from it a little bit, if that makes sense. I don't know. But yeah, Filoni leading the way and Maul showing people this is where we can go with animation. Like I'm super stoked. I'm an animation guy. You know, I love Clone Wars, love Rebels, love all that stuff, right? Was Resistance quirky? Yeah, but it's still fun. Brent loves it. When Brent comes on, he'll tell you how much he loves it. But just animation to me feels like you can just build so much that maybe you can't get done in live action. And so that's why I'm glad Filoni's in there, because I don't think he'll let that die, right? He'll make it just as important or just as valuable or rich as the live action stuff. So
Yeah, he brings that animation DNA into live action, and you can see that.
yep.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Sorry, we got Dr. Squatch. Can't help but think that Star Wars animation is superior to live action right now. Shadow Lord was awesome. I mean, and I really enjoyed Mandalorian and Grogu, which we're getting ready to talk about. But I tell you what, until we're selling out theaters and breaking records and blowing people away, animation is killing it right now. I mean, it just is. Jason Hatfield, when are we going to get Indy 500 recap? Just kidding. I have to sign off for the night. It's been a long week. Jason, I get it. Between the 500, which is kind of his religious experience, and his grandson, he's had a crazy week. So, Jason, thanks for being a part of it. But yeah, so I'm glad you guys did that. D-Doc, would you agree? Maul, I mean, before we hop full into Mandalorian, Maul is just right now, it's top tier of what we're doing with Star Wars animation.
I agree on every aspect of that. And it's like anytime we've had any of the voice actors or actresses that you mentioned, like on our show, it never feels like you're going to ask them a question and you don't want to like stump them on anything because they know Star Wars. It's like they're just like another Star Wars nerd on the podcast with you. Like a lot of the people that do this voice acting and everything, they love it. So it's like when you have people who are passionate about it, who love it, which I'm feeling those vibes from Star Wars in general right now, you get good products. So, you know, I'm pumped.
Yep.
I think we got good things coming our way.
Me too. We're going to hop into Mando full. And hey, I think Brent Dykman's showing up here. So while he's doing that, D-Doc, did you have the snippet from your son from his review?
I'll bring it up actually.
Okay. Yeah.
Here's Brent. No, I
Hi,
screwed
Brent.
up our screen a little bit.
Hi. Sorry, man. Summer
You're
happens.
okay.
And summer and life happens, and yeah, I just had to do some stuff. So
That's okay. D-Doc's trying to pull up real quick little David's review real quick for us.
yeah. So where are we at in the episode? What have we talked about?
We've talked a little bit about everything. We're getting ready to dive in deep to Mando. Getting ready to dive in deep into Mando.
Why?
So we're gonna.
It's a terrible movie. It's like it's just it pans at the box office. It's not worth anything. So why do we even sit and talk about this show anymore?
This is Brent being sarcastic, by the way.
This is our weekly dose of Brent bringing everybody down just so he can build us back up.
I don't know about building it back up, but I'm just so tired. It's just so tiring.
Joe, I didn't record any of David's review tonight. So
Okay.
he told me about it. If that's what you mean, I thought you
yeah.
meant a video of me surprising him to take him. But
Oh no! I apologize. I thought maybe you had recorded when you had said something earlier. What did he think?
dude, let me talk about that video real quick though, because I just posted it because I'm like weird. I don't post a lot of stuff with my kids online, like even on like the Dave Doc DIY stuff. I really don't post like stories of like the kids a lot and everything. I don't know. I just feel weird sometimes with it. So posting that video on TikTok and seeing it really like it's got like 60,000 views. The comments on it were crazy. Just like reading some of these guys saying like, man, like my dad did this for me. Like he took me out of school and surprised me for Revenge of the Sith. Like my dad's not around anymore. This really like, there was like multiple comments like that where it was like hitting me hard, where I was like, and I was reading every one and trying to like respond or like, you know, it was just crazy to see that. And like, it added to the experience of a new Star Wars movie hitting theaters for me, getting to experience it with him. Cause I don't know. It was like the comments just hit on a different level. So a lot of them made me sad and happy at the same time, because people were saying like, you know, he's not going to forget this. Like you might not realize that, but, and if you guys didn't know, I took my kid out of school and told me I had a dentist appointment on Thursday. And I was just like, we're going to the Mandalorian right now. He was like, what?
What?
You
My
like,
sister doesn't have a dentist appointment also?
Dude, I did get some comments saying, why didn't you take your daughter? And that's like, I showed her the preview of it on Disney Plus. I'm like, Harps. I was like, it looks like it's good. It's going to be okay for you. She was like, that snake scares me. I don't want to say it. So all she needed was that snake. And, because I was like, she's going to be upset when she finds out that I did that. But it's like, I gave her multiple opportunities.
Well, we know Alfie's kids all loved it. They love the music. They love the Grogu side of things, everything else. So D-Duck, your son, he was 2 thumbs up on it. He was blown away. He loved it.
Yes. And the drive home, he's like asking me all this lore about the Hutts. And as you guys know, I'm a big Star Wars fan. I'm not as deep in the lore as you guys are, though. Like, I can't give him the life story of the Hutts. I was like, I'm going to have to bring up a family tree, because he was like, well, what's the twins' relation to Jabba if they're trying to take out Rod? And I was like, I'm gonna just have to show you like a family tree, because I can't explain this to you. I'm like, we're just gonna have to connect the lines like the Charlie Day meme on the board. And it's like, yeah, it's. But he loved Rada. That's what's so funny. I was like, who's your? And here's the thing too. He's never watched the Mandalorian show at all, because when Mando was really kicking, he was younger. So it's like, I need to go back and do a rewatch. So it was cool for me to see, like, this is the 9-year-old kid who went and saw Mandalorian and Grogu for the first time in theaters and is now like, I want to see more Star Wars. He's seen the re-releases with me. You know, as we said, I took him to see Anakin get burned alive when Revenge of the Sith was back in theaters.
That's a good dad.
Yeah. But it was
the old taking care of the young.
There you go.
Exactly.
Dude,
that line brings a tear. That line brings a tear to my eye. Actually, I really liked that line. So
look, as the elder statesman here, before we get way too deep into it, I'm just going to say this: I was 6 when New Hope came out. My son was 6 when Phantom Menace came out. We do build that father-son, father-child, mother-daughter, whatever you want to call it, that familial connection in Star Wars. Now, my dad, he hated Star Wars. Like, when I was a kid, he was dropping me, 6 years old, he's dropping me off with friends. Like, go watch a movie. I'm going to go smoke some Pall Malls in a station wagon. It was a different time then. I think Brent would agree with me, and Ross, you would too. I mean, if we did that to our kids today, we'd get Child Protective Services on us in a minute. But so that family thing passes down, and now being in my 50s and just being able to go back into a theater and watch a Star Wars movie. I know it wasn't the, trilogy, and it wasn't a Skywalker movie and all that stuff, but there's still that great energy inside of you saying, I'm going into a theater and the lights are going to go dim and you're going to see the Lucasfilm thing up there on the screen, and it just gets you lit up again. And that's what it did for me. I had a lot of fun with it. Brent and I were sitting right there next to each other at that showing on last Thursday. So, I mean, for me, I was just excited to see Star Wars back in the theater again. And I think from everybody I've talked to who has kids that have seen it, kids are really enjoying this movie. Yes, they might get scared of the snake. Yes, I get it. I'm not going to take my 3-year-old grandson to it yet. Will, don't tell me, because I would.
Wait till he's 4.
But overall, had a lot of fun. Was it perfect? No. But I mean, how many films have we seen recently that are perfect, right? It's few and far between. This was a fun movie that you can take most kids to at a certain age, 4 or older, and just have fun. And like you said, your son's asking you questions. Alfie, who's not here, said his 6-year-old and his senior in high school were loving it, and they also love the music from it. So all those things tell me that we all have our different entry points. We always talk about it here on this show. There is a whole group of people that this is their entry point into Star Wars at a theater, and I'm really excited because it was a fun movie, and so I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. And honestly, I can't wait till Starfighter next year, but that's for next year to talk about. So, Brent,
are you booking us now? What you're doing?
What's that?
Are you booking us for that episode now?
We can. Yes. Yes. Will, Ross, Brent, bring it. Tell us your ups, your downs, what got you, what didn't get you. The floor is wide open. I mean, we have lots to talk about in there, and look, it was just a fun movie. So you guys go. Let's hear what you got. I don't
Will,
care.
you're the headliner. I'm the opening act, so you can.
I don't know about
you can go
that.
ahead there.
Oh
You
my
brought the crowd.
goodness.
You
Oh my
brought the crowd.
goodness. I gave, after my second viewing, second full viewing, I gave The Mandalorian Grogu an 8 out of 10. A lot of the reason I gave it an 8 out of 10 was because, truthfully, the first time I saw the first 20 minutes at that fan screening thing, it was fantastic to see it in IMAX, and I was sold on the movie. Then we went to the premiere, and I'm looking into the camera. I am so grateful and thankful that I was able to go to that event. But as somebody who likes in the new age to be able to pick where my seats are in the theater, I think we potentially had the worst seats at the premiere. We were in the bottom right corner, and I was like this for the entirety of the movie. There's a lot of stuff that happened underwater or fast fight scenes that it sounded great, but I couldn't really tell you what was going on for the movie. So walking out of that movie, I initially was like, I need to see this movie again. When I walked out of the premiere, I was saying this on our live show yesterday. I think I failed to understand or retain the marketing that was so 100% spelling out what this movie was going to be. This movie is Temple of Doom in Star Wars. Full stop.
Yeah.
It is like 100% Indiana Jones vibe for what Star Wars would be, without question. And Jon Favreau had said that on the live stage at Celebration. And whenever he was asked about making this movie, he was saying Indiana Jones, he was saying Spielberg, he was saying playful, he was saying adventure. And then he was also saying stuff like, we want to bring it back to the way A New Hope felt for fans in theaters. And I really think that a lot of the reason why maybe reviewers or Star Wars fans might have been a little bit lower on this movie initially, me being one of them. It wasn't that I didn't like it. It was more just, I was more confused at what I thought I was going to get and then what I did get in the movie theater. I think a lot of the reason a lot of people are lower on the movie was this does not have the baggage of 49 years of Star Wars on it. It truly doesn't. It's got a lot of great references to 49 years of Star Wars. It's got a lot of great nods to behind the scenes stuff and stuff from the EU and Legends and video games and all of these different parts of Star Wars, but it doesn't make it a crux of the film. There are what, probably 50 humans, and maybe 4 of them talk through the entire runtime of this movie. Pedro Pascal's face is like 25 seconds more in this movie than it is for the entirety of the Mandalorian series. This is a space movie. Mm-hmm. This is exactly what sci-fi and people who grew up wanting, who grew up watching like the Flash Gordons, and even a lot of this felt like Saturday morning cartoons a lot to me.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoyed this movie in my second viewing for a lot of that, because now I'm like, okay, I understand what this movie is. Now I'm just going to take it for what it is. And when you do that, it's a beautiful movie. I'm so stoked to see it again. But the best part was sitting next to my wife in a theater packed with people I did not know who were just Star Wars fans. And when Mando started coming out, she is the target audience for Grogu.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, the little baby. Like she is exactly the Grogu demographic. And there are a lot of kids that like Grogu, right? But like if you're going to turn on Disney Plus and be like, oh, and her motherly instincts kick in of like, I love that baby. I want that baby. Sitting next to her, enjoying the film, and then also like people next to me who were laughing at the bits, and all of those jokes were hitting in the Enzellans. Like the amount of times I work with kids for my day-to-day, I'm a behavioral therapist. So all the kids I work with are all 6 and under, and they're all on the autism spectrum. The amount of times over the last couple of days that I've gone, big pipe, like it's, this movie is like a bunch of people who love Star Wars making Star Wars, and it doesn't have a lot of baggage. And I think that when you look at it like that, it's a phenomenal movie. There's a lot of it I love. There's some stuff that I'm like, I'm not really the biggest fan of the whole if you see my face, I gotta kill you thing, because I really love I really love when in season 2 where Pedro got to take off his helmet and have that face-to-face with Grogu. As somebody who is who the one thing I've always wanted to be in life is a dad, I'm like thinking about a kid who you're with all the time and he never actually sees your face. Like Brendan Wayne and Lateef Crowder do a phenomenal job with all the acting underneath the helmet, but you still like to see the guy's face every once in a while. So there's some stuff like that I'm like, if I had to change, I would. But this is definitely a movie that I'm going to throw on a lot and just kind of have on in the background. It's like a fun thing. I also think that this movie is, if you have never seen The Mandalorian and Grogu, this is exactly what they wanted to do. And you could honestly watch this before 1 through 3, even though it takes place canonically after in the timeline. That if you were like, hey, I'm thinking about Star Wars, or hey, what's that Mandalorian series on Disney Plus? Go see this movie. If you like it, you're going to really love the series. If you don't, there's some other Star Wars stuff that I'll push you over to if you're a fan. But like I said, 8 out of 10. I had a great time in the theater, and I can't wait to see it a third time.
Well, Ross, you follow it up, and then Brent, you're the cleanup hitter.
Yeah, and I think if it was grade-wise, my wife asked me, and her gateway drug was Grogu as well. So that's how she, and now we're in Japan together going to a celebration.
Love it.
It's just like awesome. And she will only do one day of a celebration, but she appreciates it and enjoys it. But it was Grogu as that gateway drug. And she turned to me, she's like, give me your grade. And she gave it an 8 or an 8.5 immediately. And I think after first viewing, kind of relative, I think, to a lot of deeper fans, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go 7.5.
Yep.
After the first viewing. After 4, I'm up to 8. I'm also trying to protect my 10 for Rogue One and The Empire Strikes Back. Because I work in higher ed. You can't give everyone an A all the time or grades don't matter. So it is, some of that is just like, okay, am I overthinking this? The main grade or the main piece that I take out of it is having sore cheeks after walking out because I'm just smiling.
Yeah.
And I'm catching myself in the theater. 2 of the times I just went by myself, I had to take vacation days this week or I was going to lose it. So I'm just like, I don't have anything to do. I have a theater 5 minutes away where the matinee costs $6.80. 2 days in a row, I went and just watched it by myself and caught myself sitting there just feeling like,
yeah, dude.
like with the big smile, just enjoying what they did. And I've heard some people say like, oh, incredible action up front, and then it closes with it. But there's this lull in the middle. But to me, that lull is Grogu coming of age. So talking about Spielberg, talking about those movies, having the water slide like it's straight out of Goonies coming through. That was that 80s moment, like the Grogu montage in there. And then the beautiful element of him, what he learned from Luke. And his meditation, he's finding space. He's in the most traumatic experience possible and thinking he may lose his dad, but he's going back to the Force to help ground himself as he does these things before he gives Din a concussion because he made the little cave too small. So I can't say enough good stuff. Obviously, Ludwig Göransson makes everything he touches better. He could have 2 spoons and he would make the most incredible soundtrack on something. So the visits to different planets, all the different elements. I think I'm with most of you on here. I loved it. I'll be seeing it the 5th time sometime soon because I won't be able to see it enough in the theater before it goes away.
Yeah.
and then
Yep.
you don't have it on that big
Yeah.
screen until some special release at some point again.
That's beautiful. Hey, we've had 2 comments by VPEJ8508. Mando and Grogu was great. Theater was full of all ages from old to young. Great paced action and the dragon snake and the walkers. And Grogu building the mud hut for his dad was adorable. I agree with you. Thank you for joining us tonight, VPEJ. I'm not going to say all that or I'll trip over my tongue. Brent, you and I got to see it on that first day. We have not heard some words or feedback from you. And I know sarcastically you said, oh, it was a bummer movie, blah, blah, blah. But you've always told me, I want something new. I want to be entertained. It doesn't all have to be the end of the universe kind of Star Wars movie. It can be a small, contained story. How did you feel watching it and walking out of there?
So a lot of the reaction that I have and what you heard when I came on, I am just tired of people that are so self-important and think that they are these movie critics and that they can make a movie better than anybody else when they've never made a movie before. And it would probably fall on the face if they tried to make a movie, but yet they feel self-important to tell you how to make the movie and how to make it better. Second, I'm also tired of people that go into things thinking that it has to match their version of what that is going to be. And if it doesn't match my version, it's shit. And it's tiring, right? Like, so and then I'm in this space, right? I'm in this space of podcasting of where you do have to be analytical and talk about things. And it's just, people might say that all I want to do is I'm toxically positive about it. No, like, look at shit for what you enjoy, man. Like, it was fun. It was everything that I thought it was going to be. I never put any expectations on seeing, as you know, I've been told by a lot of people that I'm a Debbie Downer, that I'm That's because if you have expectations up here and it hits down here, and I have expectations here and it hits down here, I'm falling lower. I'm not losing all my crap.
I'm usually on the high dive, Brent. You're always telling me to take a couple steps down, and I don't know how to dive either. So,
so the movie, I think it was awesome. You guys had mentioned a couple of the things of like, I thought it was fun sitting next to Tom Line for a couple of reasons, because every time we saw something that reminded us of an 80s callback to something, we would lean over and like Top Gun, right? Like, because when they come flying in, they need to play Danger Zone to that. That's Top Gun. Then like they do the Rambo montage when Grogu's arm went, like he's like Rambo, and like we just died laughing with each of the different like scenes that and there's probably like 8 of them, and I can't remember all of them, but I remember Rambo, I remember Top Gun. That was fun. I will say that I do think that there were pacing for me. Action was fantastic, but there was longer pieces of lull between the action that just didn't work for this guy. But I'm going to say, am I going to say that that's terrible and a terrible movie? No. I mean, it worked for everybody. It's not necessarily meant for me. It's meant for me to be entertained. It's meant for me to be transported to another land, a galaxy far, far away, and it's meant for me to escape the reality of my life and my current situation and think about being and existing in that world. Did it do that? 100%, right? Is it perfect? No. 7.5, 8. But this is something that I've said about, like D-Doc and I've talked about. If I was watching that at home, it's probably a 5 or a 6 if I'm watching it at home, just because like watching it in a theater with people in that environment makes it better. Like it gives it another grade and a half. Like there's something about that environment that makes it great, but it's expensive as hell. I think Alfie put in our text chain, he's got a family of 5. He had a family of 5 to take the entire family, who was all Star Wars fans, because Alfie is a Star Wars fan and has passed that on to everybody. $160 in just tickets.
No, tickets, sodas, and popcorns.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was the concessions.
No, it was 20 or so, 18 a ticket, so times 5. Yeah, and then 2 sodas, a slushie, and 2 popcorns. Came out
Still.
to like $160.
Still.
The icy itself is $10. So
Yeah.
So like, okay, so to go back to the movie, right? So it's just expensive. To go back to the movie, I loved seeing Zeb. Let's not kid ourselves. Zeb was awesome. Zeb was a badass, climbing on the ceilings and using his little blaster bolt. And I'm not gonna lie, it made me like go, oh shit, that's the blaster bolt from Legion, which is actually the blaster bolt from the Rebels TV show. But it's the same shit that Callus has in my game. And I'm like, and you got to see it in both, because the idea is they give it to you in both, where it's the staff and the gun. And you got to see it both as a staff and a gun. What? Right? Like, so, like, that was awesome. Let's see. Let me go. What else was another fun little thing?
and props to Steve Bloom
Oh,
for making all of that work. He's so incredible.
Steve
and
Bloom
was so
is
nice
great.
Yeah.
seeing him
Real
get
quick,
to voice that.
Brent, while you're thinking, Michael Nip, I love the Brent yelling at the clouds segment. It's my favorite part of every show, for real.
I feel like I rant way too much and it just drives people nuts. But Mike,
No.
thank you.
You're not, no, you don't. Because I always get where you're coming from, and I'm the hype man, and so it's like it's funny because like there have been times in the past where I've been hyped on certain things that maybe have let me down a little bit. I didn't feel that with this, but yeah.
So a couple more things that like rang out. I mean, if you watched the show and you saw the commentary on the 25-minute free preview of the hut. Of the hut sanctum, that still is blowing my mind, and the fact that you have seen it 4 times and screen makes me worry about you, that you want to go back for a 5th to see all of the hut on hut action that has taken place.
I think they're just keeping each other warm, Brent.
Yeah,
I
they're
don't
just
think
sleeping. They're
Yeah.
just sleeping.
Right. Sure. Little
Snuggling.
I don't know about that first trio.
Oh. I mean, when we came back from that 25-minute segment, we were like, can we just talk for a minute about
When the one comes out of the hole, when
And, like,
Mando and
slithers down.
Grogu are walking, that just like slips down.
Oh,
Oh boy.
And it's a big one.
wonder where he's coming from. My gosh.
Yeah.
he's moving on to the next one.
D-Doc, you're a plumber. Imagine being a plumber for the huts.
Oh man, that would be terrible. I mean, we've talked about how they interact with each other. I never thought about the plumbing situation there, man. They got to have some big holes there for that.
Big plumbing, big piping.
So there's that.
Big pipe, eh?
Yeah, big pipe.
You have to enjoy the little dudes, right? Like, I mean, they remind me a little bit of like the cockroaches from Men in Black. Right? Like, I mean, they're in that world of like, they're the comic relief, and they're what, like, it was Grogu that pulled in the female, right? The motherly instinct. Every little kid loves those little Anzellans just because they're so damn like small. The fact that they walked Mando to the ship and like he was gonna get on that ship was just, I mean, I saw it coming, but even when he looked at it, he's like, I'm not gonna fit in there. Well, no shit, you're not going to fit in there.
I wanted so badly for them to show a shot of Din like close to that ship while it was taking off. So you saw this Kenner-sized toy ship like taking off right next to him. Like I wanted
it's like the Funko Pop rides where it's just like 3/4 of the body are out of it.
Yeah,
on the piece.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of other things that like stood out.
Squatch.
I think he could have
Yeah,
slid
he could
in there. I don't
fit
know.
his legs in there,
Like,
you know?
It's a real tight spot. He's in a real tight spot, boys. What are some other positive things that that made me smile? You know, one thing that like, this is also when I went to the bathroom, but I thank God that's when I went to the bathroom. I don't understand the fish and the rocking chair portion. Like, that was a part of me that was like, I could that. If you want to talk about something that could have hit the cutting room floor, I think that could have hit the cutting room floor. But I think there's a part of it that, like, if you watched it you could probably tell me that was needed for Grogu's growth, right? Right. So like, and I missed part of that, but at the same time, I was like, oh, this is a perfect time because this just does not seem what's funny is I hear you talking about growth, but then on my social media feeds for the first week after the movie, there's no plot. right? Somebody said no. Somebody's comment, and I'm sorry, I'm shouting at the clouds again. Somebody's comment was, "There's no plot to this movie," and that stopped it. And I said, "Seriously?" I went online and it said, "A plot is a series of a segment of unrelated events strung together to tell the story." I said, "There's no plot. That movie was clearly a series of independent segments thrown together to tell a story. There was a plot." Which is where I get into it's not the plot you wanted, so therefore there was no plot. And that's what I get sick of, right? We all are these... Talk about the positive things. So the other thing, too, and I'm going to throw this out there, I think you guys I'll let you guys react to this, too. I said this after the movie, and the more that I think about the movie, the more I believe it. A lot of people say that this was... the Favreau and Filoni, that this was like season 4 of The Mandalorian, or they think that I think that they took their ideas from the Rangers of the New Republic and turned it into this movie. And I think that for a couple of reasons. One, you can't tell me that Top Gun shot wasn't some damn Top Gun shot from the Rangers of the New Republic, because that would have been in that show and that would have been a badass scene. But that shot was something that they had set up for that Rangers of the New Republic at Delphi Squadron. Second, the Sarlacc card, not the Sabacc card deck.
Mm-hmm.
That Sabacc card deck, because they said that there's strange things happening in the regions, that Sabacc card deck was your episode 1, 5, 7, 12 of that Rangers of the New Republic going down and hunting that down. Third, take Zeb out and put Cara Dune as the driver of that, the pilot of that ship, and his buddy cop. Or
it's Rangers from the New Republic again.
Or take out Sigourney Weaver's character and put Cara Dune in that Sigourney Weaver position. Either of those two positions, if you put Cara Dune there, it's Rangers of the New Republic.
I had not thought about that.
See those.
Yeah.
So
I can see that.
I took because they said that they had ideas, they were ready to go with it, and then the shit hit the fan. I think that they were like, this is where they were going with it. Let's make it and turn it into the Rangers of the New Republic. Now, another thing you hear people talk about is like, oh, this is just a series of independent TV Disney Plus shows strung together. Yeah, and it was fun. So,
okay.
One thing that I forgot in mind that I really want to bring out that I didn't realize until the second viewing, and I got so excited about it, was Hugo Durant, wonderfully done by Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
Having the mudhorn egg. And that's where he pulled that yellow sauce out of.
I did not see. I did
to
not
lay
notice that.
on the sandwich.
Really cool.
Wow.
So when I went home after that second viewing, and I was like, I swear that was the Suka. That was the so. And I looked it up. And the beautiful part about it is, because I avoided everything ahead of time, I didn't want to know that much. But Filoni and Roy Choi have a video of them at kind of in that cooking station with the two of them talking about that. But Roy makes it into here's the real sandwich versus here's the Star Wars version of the sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like an 8-minute video that's fantastic for anyone that wants to go watch. But it just made me that much more excited of just like, I'm hearing the Jawas like, Suka.
Love it.
I wonder if they serve chicken parm there.
I tell you what, if anybody's going to make a mean chicken parm, it might be Scorsese in Star Wars.
Yeah. He's got a nice chef that probably makes a mean chicken parm.
You'd think.
Will or Ross, what are some other things? And we brought up a number of topics, but what are some other things that you either absolutely love we haven't hit on, or things where you're like, we could have tweaked that a little bit? Either way. But I mean, I think we're all kind of in that range, somewhere between 7.5 to 8.5, somewhere in that. I think we all feel pretty solid about it. I get tired of people just constantly, as Brent mentioned, constantly being negative. I went and spent a day the other day in the afternoon after seeing it now a few times. And I was like, I want to see what people are saying. And I would start some YouTube videos, and I was like, I have to turn this off. I was like, I have to turn these off because, I mean, have fun. It's politics, Star Wars, and a few other things that people just can't let themselves live a life and have fun, right? It's like, I want to be the first one to talk bad about this. And so I've really had to just break away from that. And there's a few people, very few, that I'm like, I trust them. I'm going to watch them compared to what I'm thinking. But I think we're all in the same range. I think we all enjoyed it. Here's some other thoughts from you guys on things you either wanted tweaked or liked a lot.
You want to take turns, Will? You
Go
start.
for it. No,
We'll
you
go
go.
one,
You
two,
go,
one,
go, 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 go.
All right. I'm going to hit 2 quick Rada things. When he's feeding Grogu, that's just fun. And it's like, I imagine like throwing grapes to a friend, seeing like, oh, hey, who can get this? And Grogu doesn't miss, like all over it. But then another thing that made me smile every time is Rada racing in that speeder that he hardly fits in, but it's perfect. And he's just, he's a great driver, you know? So that's, you know, and that scene like built off of Favreau's time in Chicago. And that is Chicago in a Star Wars way. And just seeing him drive around, those little cheap thrills that I really enjoyed that I think are sprinkled throughout it. And that's kind of what we did a quick reaction on Fantha Tracks where everyone just wrote 2 to 3 paragraphs of an overall. And I started with, this was a fun road trip through the Filoniverse. And that's what sums it up to me.
Okay. I like it. Will, how about you?
To go out on the experience of it and kind of here, you know what? I'll start off this way. Here's one thing that I really enjoyed. When and this is, I noticed this in my second viewing. I mentioned the thing about the helmet where I'm like, I'm not really a big fan of it, but thinking of the Indiana Jones of it all, the hat always comes back.
Yes, it does.
The helmet always comes back. And when the helmet drops and he's in the pit and he's climbed up and he's like, I'm at my wit's end. The snake's coming at me. Then he looks up and he sees the helmet and he just grabs it and puts it on quick. They could have played John Williams' indie theme in that moment and then put the helmet back on and gone, and it would have been perfect. Yeah. Rada was probably the standout for the entire movie for me. I really loved a lot of Rada's stuff. One scene that is so perfectly Star Wars and so perfectly Star Wars for me was Rada and Grogu playing on the beach.
Oh gosh.
That is such a ridiculous image that can only work within the bookends of Star Wars.
True.
To actually make you go, man, that's a heartwarming scene. To see that little green guy and that space slug flopping around on the beach, and it still be like, it pulls at your heartstrings, and then Mando looking over and being like, you know, maybe I got to start thinking about being a dad, like that kind of thing. And he's thinking about him being a father. Insane, perfect Star Wars. I think also like another thing that was really cool was the way Embo was used. I really liked how Embo was used for all of this. As somebody who has the greatest bounty hunter in Star Wars looking over their right shoulder right now, would I have loved to see Cad Bane in this movie? Absolutely. Was I happy that it was Embo? Yes, I really enjoyed Embo. I also loved that he didn't really talk much and that he was more of just like, he was the villain that was kind of always there, much like the goons of a higher mob boss would be in a lot of mob movies, in a lot of Italian movies like that, like mafia movies, like, or even like some other like 80s movies where there's just that guy, or like Bond movies where it's a big villain and you're scared of him and you're like, oh, but he's probably going to be beaten by the end of this movie or at least get away. He doesn't have to say much, but he's cool for an action figure. Embo was used exactly like that for Star Wars, and it was great. I really, really love that at some point, and this is my own headcanon, I would like to think that the hat came before the ship, and that when somebody asked, hey, Embo, what do you want your ship to look like? He just pointed at his face with his hat on, and then they made that for him that looks exactly like his head wearing that hat. That is fantastic.
Sorry.
Brent's got something for you, and we got a comment. So go ahead, Brent.
I'm just going to share because I do think it does match the hat. It also looks like the battery's not included a ship.
Yes,
that is such a good call out when it's flying away and you see the red of the
it
like
even had the legs like the battery's not like the
Oh, yeah.
landing gear were down like the battery's not included. So that was another one that Tom Line. I looked over at Tom Line and I was like, battery's not included. He's like,
Yep.
"What are you talking-"
Did Embo start because the battery's not included?
Oh, there we go.
Ah.
So Dr. Squatch,
I
my
just
dad,
didn't say
who is loosely a Star Wars fan, has mentioned me a couple of times how cool Imbo was. I thought that was awesome.
He's really
I think
cool.
the ship is super similar to one of Hondo's cruise ships in
It
Clone
is.
Wars.
It is that
Okay.
that round design, very close. Look, am I a guy who likes when other Star Wars characters pop up in Star Wars stuff? Yeah, dude, I would have loved to see Hondo in this movie, but that was fine. He wasn't in it. That was probably like when they talked about the pirates at the beginning of the film of like we're being everything is being ruined by pirates. I was like, Hondo Onaka, but it's fine. I would love to see him. I love seeing him in Galaxy's Edge. Anytime Hondo's in anything, love it. One thing that I think throughout the entire experience of this time of Mando that I've been thinking about a lot is, look, a lot of Star Wars fans like to rank. There he is. Let's go. Winnie the Pooh himself.
Yeah. Jim.
Love Hondo. That also looks fantastic. When a lot of Star Wars fans like to rank their Star Wars movies. I do it all of the time. However, my only constant in my list of now the 13 Star Wars films, they all change from 2 to 13, but my number one is always Return of the Jedi. And it's because of the charm of that movie. In my opinion, the beginning of that movie is the best of any movie I have ever seen. I love that cold open into that first third of the movie. The middle third has grown on me so much as I have gotten older, and that last half is why I have Luke Skywalker's lightsaber tattooed on my arm.
Nice.
I love Return of the Jedi. It's all of the charm and heart and fun of Star Wars packed into that. And I think a lot of that was in this movie. Now, so many people, when they are talking about this movie and ranking it or giving it whatever it is, I think the biggest thing for me with this movie is so many people, when they're talking about it, say this movie is fun. And fun has a weird ring to it now.
Yeah.
Where people go, oh, it's fun. It's kind of like when we were talking about Maul Shadow Lord at the beginning, and people go, no, it's fantastic. You need to watch it. And they go, oh, it's animation though, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of that same wheelhouse to me. And I don't know where, especially within Star Wars, where fun and silly and goofy became like a bad thing when it comes to Star Wars. This movie did that so well. And I will say it's a lot of the bulk of like vibe and aesthetic building of this movie. I'm somebody who loves that, as somebody who loves the Ewok movies, as somebody who loves the Star Wars holiday special. Like I love that stuff. So seeing this movie, I kind of put it in that vein. I will also say to the idea that this movie is a lot of episodes of Mando and Grogu put together. Jon Favreau has said in interviews since that news kind of came about, where they were like, hey, I had season 4 written and then we had to pivot to this movie.
Yeah.
That him and Filoni looked at season 4 and they were like, we probably shouldn't turn this into a movie. They've said that in interviews. So maybe some of the theming of that season 4 ended up in this movie, and maybe some of the timeline stuff ended up in this movie. But there's also a season 4 that has a ton of stuff that was not in this movie that is probably a heck of a lot different. So I'm also excited for that, and I do think that it's kind of like, oh, Jon Favreau even said it's just season 4 in a movie. That's not what this is.
No.
It's not what this is, as much as it is like a thing where Favreau wasn't expecting it, and I don't think anybody was expecting this after Star Wars Celebration Japan and the celebration before that of like, there were 3 movies that were announced. This movie not being one of them. The Dawn of the Jedi movie, the Filoni movie, and the Rey movie. None of those movies we have seen. We got this instead. I don't think this was the plan for what the return to theaters was supposed to be for Star Wars. And so many people, whenever they start a review, they go, Star Wars is back in theaters after 7 years since The Rise of Skywalker. And it's The Mandalorian and Grogu. I don't think that was anybody's plan. So giving it the grace of like, this could have been just something else that came out in between one of those 3 movies or while those movies were released or while other stuff was coming out on Disney Plus. This movie is fun in the best way. And I keep comparing it to Indiana Jones because a lot of people are like, oh, Mando doesn't have a lot of character growth throughout the movie. I don't really know where that's coming from, but also if you were to look at Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, tell me how different Indy is at the beginning of Temple of Doom, at the end of Temple of Doom. Yeah. You don't need that. It's a lot of, it's a character can be a character and just be a character.
Yeah.
I think that's code for Grogu doesn't talk.
Well, and if anything you could say as well with this movie is that Din and Grogu work more as a team and he's a little more less protective of them, where I'm like, I came out with that where I'm like, if people want to say that nothing changed in this movie, they're wrong, because Din is not just like, I need to protect you at all costs, don't go into danger, whatever. They were more so working as a team, like, let's go.
Which we did see of in Mando season 3 a little bit though, where they were, he's like, he started to go out on his own.
Yeah, but I think the key line that they've said it in all the trailers and all that stuff is the old protect the young and then the young protect the old, right? And he realized, he really started thinking about the age and how he's going to live for hundreds of years while he's gone. And you're right. At the end, just like letting him now sit on his lap and fly the ship, right then and there, he realized I'm only alive because he helped me stay alive. Mm-hmm. He's going to be around longer than I am. I have to get him to a place where he's going to survive with me not being here. So there was in certain amounts growth. Real quick, I want to read these because some people pop these in again. BPEJ. If people let the movie be what it is, it's fun and entertaining. When people want to add all the Star Wars history to it, they ruin it. Because Mando and Grogu are the new characters. Dr. Squatch was just about to mention that, Joe, that encompasses the theme of the movie, in my opinion. Thanks, Dr. Squatch. You're a smart guy. So if you like that, I must have said something right. Ross, I'm going to go back to you on one thing. You mentioned earlier that Star Wars movies are like ice cream to you, and you'd still eat all of one flavor, whatever flavor. I always say it's pizza. Being the Italian guy, I'm always like, Star Wars is pizza, right? It doesn't matter. Is some pizza better than another pizza? Yeah, but it's still pizza. And who on a Friday night doesn't want to get a beer and a pizza and watch a movie? It's pizza. It's ice cream. So we have to take it in and enjoy it. The other thing that I was thinking about is there are some great characters from the Mando season 1, 2, and 3 that we all like, that we all think add to the story and all that stuff. And yes, we know Grief Karga no longer with us and cannot participate in this movie and everything. But there's Bo-Katan and there's different people in the Mandalorian cult. The Emily Swallow with the armor. There's different characters that have come through that play a key role or play some roles, and I think they made the right choice by not adding all those into this movie, because one of you mentioned earlier, this is a great movie for whether you've seen Will, I think it was you. If you haven't seen the Mandalorian, great. Go watch 2 hours of this fun adventure movie about this Mandalorian and a baby Yoda. And if you like it at the end, hey, we've got all this story surrounding it that you can now go check out. And I think Disney is really hoping that Disney Plus gets that after effect, right? That's one of the things they mentioned is there's going to be people who this is their entry to Mandalorian and Grogu. They're going to be like, wait, there's more stories. There's other stories tied to this. And now they can go back and bring that in. So I don't know what you guys saw, but I thought it was, while I love all those characters and I love all the different things going on in that storyline, I think leaving them back and keeping it plain and simple, like you said, 4 or 5 humans talk in the whole movie, right? Maybe just take it down to the bare minimums and the brass tacks of everything and say, here's a story. You can go see more of it over here. We'll bring you in the entry level here.
This movie wasn't Mandalorian and Grogu seasons. it was Rangers of the New Republic. Those characters didn't show up in Rangers of the New Republic.
See, I'm a sucker. I can watch 20 minutes of puppeteered aliens from Star Wars with just music scores playing in the theater and be like thoroughly entertained by it. Like I will laugh at the Anzellans when they come buzzing in to modify the Razor Crest. Like I'm a sucker for all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like it kind of goes back to what Will was saying about like it's fun because it is fun. But it's like if some Star Wars fans stop taking themselves so seriously and look back on the original trilogy and some scenes that they think are so serious, like the Millennium Falcon could be like on the verge of being blown up and Han Solo is saying something that's going to make you laugh. Like Luke is going to Dagobah to train and Yoda's making you laugh, like hitting him with the cane or stealing Luke's food or whatever. Like Star Wars has always had a way of having serious situations and making you laugh at the same time. To me, that's like how it's supposed to be. And like, I don't know. I am a fan of Andor. I loved Andor, the show, but I feel like some waters have been muddied a little bit where people are like, well, this is how Star Wars should be. It should be this serious all the time. It should be like this, which it's like that can exist. That's a different park though. You know what I mean? I said it to you guys. It's like, I look at the Mandalorian Grogu as the entrance to Disney World. Hey, do you think this is cool? This is Star Wars. Go check out we have Disney World, but we also have Epcot. We have the Magic Kingdom. We got Hollywood Studios. Like we got different things here where you got different layers of Star Wars, where there's different things you can enjoy there. So I don't know. It really depends on how much you pay attention to negative fandom online. But
Star Wars is a buffet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can get crab rangoon, you can get ribs, you can get salad at the salad bar.
Yes.
All of that is available. You can get Andor, you can get Clone Wars, you can get Rebels, you can get The Mandalorian, you can get The Empire Strikes Back. All of this is available in Star Wars. And the older I get, the more I realize how much the fandom has been dictated by people comparing things that just happen to have the same logo on it, and that logo being the Star Wars logo. This movie should not have been Andor. This movie, Andor's not even Rogue One. And a lot of people say that that's all the same thing. It's a completely separate thing. Every time anybody makes Star Wars, there's three things that I look for. Who are the people making it? Whether or not the people making it have a passion and put a lot of that love into making Star Wars, and whether or not I enjoyed it. If those three boxes are checked, I'm probably, like you said, I'm a sucker for it. If it's got the Star Wars logo on it, very much like my mother who goes out and she shows me a children's book that happens to be a Star Wars book that I don't need as an almost 30-year-old man. Hey, it's got Star Wars on it. Do you want it? Yeah, Mom, I do want it. Even though I don't need it and I'm going to put it behind me, but I want it. And just like everything else in Star Wars, I just want Star Wars all the time. And although everything does not end up being Return of the Jedi for me, if something comes out, I would love for it to dethrone Return of the Jedi as my favorite every time, but it's probably not going to happen because I've lived with Return of the Jedi for my entire life. And I've lived with Mandalorian and Grogu for about 2 weeks. So comparing it to other Star Wars that you've lived with your whole life, it's like,
Dr. Squatch. Hey, so real quick, and if any of you need to go, let me know. We usually don't. We usually cut it off there.
Sorry. I just read Dr. Squatch's comment. I mean, we just know that the show that should not be named lives in infamy and is glorious, in my opinion.
I know.
Somebody say acolyte?
Wow.
Did you say acolyte?
The excellent. Yeah, the acolyte.
Again, I'll go back to it. In 50 years of being a Star Wars fan, I think the one thing that I love the most is exactly what you were talking about, Will. We have friends. We've made friends in our community with our podcasts and just people we've interacted with, that Rebels is their Star Wars. That Clone Wars is their Star Wars. The original trilogy is. The prequels are. I even know some people that the sequels are their Star Wars. And you know what? When we get to something like Star Wars Celebration, or when we get to the ICCC, or uh, what the Rebel, I'm sorry, will Rebel Scum, whatever,
Rebel Scum Con.
Rebel Scum Con, Steel City Con, when we get there and we're all interacting, the hatred we see online melts away.
Yep.
We all look and we all say, oh, that's, you know what? That's a pretty cool cosplay over there. Oh my gosh, they're selling this over here. Oh, I've never seen that shirt before. It's really cool. And it all melts away. And I think the big key to this is we've allowed, so many of us have, and Brent, I'm listening to you as a preacher to me from the other day when I spouted off. Just got to let it go, because if we love it, if it's something means something to us, and there's some people that love something adjacent to, again, you know, original trilogy, you know, prequels, whatever it is, we have something in common. We have something that's bringing us together as a community. It's almost like there's these outside forces that are trying to break up this community of people who just want to enjoy something to take us away from the real world. Like Brent always says, get us out of our regular, everyday, humdrum things that we go through and take us off to that far, far away place. And I think we really need to focus on that, because I think we are going in the right direction. I think things are fandom and the movies and the series, and God, I hope that Disney Plus keeps putting something on that, every year or whatever. But I really feel like we're going in a positive direction. D-Doc's got the train going, the hype train. There's a lot more. What is it? Lando, what does Lando say in Rise of Skywalker?
Well.
No, there's a lot more of.
I mean, that's what he says. Like,
but does he say there's a lot more of us than them, or something like that? Or I forget at the end of it.
Yeah.
Here's the only thing, and I don't care anyone else's opinions if they're negative on this movie. The only thing that bothers me is I feel like people's opinions are swaying people from going to see this, which that's where it gets me, where it's like, well, I heard this or I heard that, because I've seen online Mandalorian Grogu $160 million at the box office over Memorial Day weekend. And people are like, it could have done better. It should have done better, whatever. Then I see a post about Toy Story 5 is projecting to gross like 155 million to 170. And that's a huge win. Like, those projections are huge. And then I'm just like, why in one breath are these people being like, yeah, like Mandalorian and Grogu could have done more. And then Toy Story 5, which is a huge IP, like, especially for a generation that grew up on it, like mine, who's going to take their kids to see the movie because we grew up on it. It's like automatic money. I'm like, why are these being cast in such different light? I don't know. It's like, did they want the Mandalorian and Grogu to make like $1 billion on opening weekend? Like, I don't know what they. And it did. Plus, Memorial Day weekend's a busy weekend as well. Like, not everybody's going to the movies. We have another weekend coming up here where, like, I know a lot of people still are going to go see the movie. So that's where it gets to me. I know Brent says don't let it get to you. And that's just where it gets to me, where I'm like, some people are reading these and being like, well, I probably won't go see it now because.
Hey, Doc, I got a question for you. How much?
I want it to do well.
How much money did AJ Brown make this year?
I don't know, actually, off the top of my head today.
Do you think it was well worth it? Do you think that it was worth? Do you think it was worth the Eagles paying him that much money?
You have to factor in the Kevin Patullo tax levied against everyone.
I'm gonna click out for all this Eagles talk, guys. This is where
I'm trying to think of where you're going with it, Brent.
You don't know where I'm going? Like, well, I'm getting at, like, people talk shit about people like James Harden. They were the best team on the court, but he's making $24 million and can't get to the NBA Finals. Like, people get paid. Like, people overvalue everything. People, it's just why does that matter? Like, I was walking around. My daughter wanted to go to Target. I was walking around. I do my normal shop through the Star Wars aisle, and like my brain went to like these comments about how much money and breaking even, and like, but why do we care? Because it's a checklist item to talk shit about. That's all it is. Why does it matter? Like, I am not making any money off of that. I'm not invested. I don't have I should have stock in Disney because of as much shit that we buy from Disney. But like,
that's true.
Did you hear the grandpa
Get a
whistle?
large
By the
percentage
way?
of my money.
Did you hear the grandpa whistle? I had a couple of them.
I thought there was a train coming.
No, I have. Every now and then I get like the Herbert the pervert whistle in there. But my point is basically,
I can't do it.
It only comes out when I do certain times. I think we just overvalue and put too much just to have something to fucking talk about, because we gotta fill the time, we gotta fill the airwaves, and like people want to bitch and they're gonna bitch. They bitched about AJ Brown. They overpriced, didn't really perform. They talk about how much they pay these people that are bust. We drafted this person who was a complete crap show. Who was the guy from played for the Raiders and was like an LSU quarterback that's been
Jamarcus Russell, yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, we're gonna drink on some scissor and like think we can play football in the NFL level. It happens. It happens. Even George Lucas in an interview said there's movies that I have made that people don't even watch because there are busts. It happens.
I would liken it to me being so involved in travel baseball right now with my son, where it's like when Star Wars is in theaters, I feel like it's my kid up to bat and you want them to get a hit. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm just like, I want this to do well because I like the people who are making it. I don't know.
Well, and
I've got positive vibes on it still. I think it is doing well too. I'm not saying it's not doing well. I'm just wondering why people paint it as if it's not, where it's like people are going to see this movie.
Well, and I think it's some of the bigger problem. I can honestly say I stopped following Collider because they're so massive and they can sway it, but they were putting out negative headlines for articles that weren't nearly as negative. And I was just like, you know what? You guys aren't worth my time anymore.
Yeah.
If this is the way you're going to do this. So yeah, I completely agree. And it's just, that's also why I try to avoid a lot of it. I want to think for myself.
Yes.
I'm media literate on my own. I don't need these people telling me what to think.
True.
There's so much groupthink in American society, like not just American society, in society. There's so much groupthink, which is what you're saying, D-Doc, about they read these reviews and people stay away. It's because they can't have a thought for themselves. We have gone away from having commercials to now paying for people to make you. They are the commercial, and now they're called influencers for a purpose. And listen to them, but think for your freaking self. Yeah. Be able to make a decision and like, you know what? I heard that you said that was crap. Let me go watch and see if it is crap.
Yeah. Well,
can I take us back one step?
Yeah.
Because we went through this awesome movie, and I don't know that we talked about the Jajarek match.
We did not.
If I'm listening, I'm like, did these idiots not watch part of the movie?
Yeah.
And just the callbacks there, the fighting sequence, everything about it. But then getting back to the New Hope part where the one guy's lifting him up and dropping him. And it's just like my cheeks almost burst out at that point, like, and became the Joker because it was such a thrilling moment and that little bit of callback.
I mean, you tied A New Hope, The Force Awakens, and Mando and Grogu together in one big scene. I mean, just so well done. And yes, the Acolyte was brought up with the Meknex, so we do have a little bit of everything in this movie. I mean, it really did hit a little bit of everything. They had the creatures from Jabba's palace, the guys in the water. I'm blanking their names. Amanamans, whatever.
Amani,
dude,
or whatever it is.
Amani.
They played a big role in the movie. They were all over the place, man.
They were cool.
I mean, we're tied in something that people my age, Ross's age, we looked and we were like, do we want that character? I mean, he's cool, he's there, but I mean, but then again, we all bought him because we bought every Star Wars figure we could. But I mean, look, I love how it did. It just paid homage to a little bit of everything throughout the entire franchise. There was something covered from a little bit of everything in this movie. And for fans, it paid off with that. And for people who are new to it, it went right past them, right over their heads, and they just watch an action movie with some comedy in it and space wars, So, like I said earlier, I know we've been going a little bit long here. So,
can I go
Brent,
back real quick because I didn't think of
okay.
that. Was it Will or was it Ross? One of you guys said that the Martin Scorsese planet was like Chicago.
Yes. Me.
Yeah. And ever since you've been saying that, it's been living rent free in my head for the last 45 minutes to an hour.
Well, and I think Favreau has come out and said that.
Yeah.
It is absolutely like, yeah, this is from a trip to Chicago where I was just like, hey, this would work.
Yep.
Because he's playing a damn hot dog vendor from like on the side of the street, like that you would get a hot dog vendor. And of course, but it didn't dawn on me until you said that. So like I said, thank you, because that was it's seriously been living rent free in my head.
Happy to pass it along.
There you go. I will, you know what? I'm going to close up shop by letting you guys, let's go around the room with any final thoughts anywhere. One, Will and Ross, I always like to tell people when we're closing up, please feel free to tell everybody where they can follow you, where you're posting stuff. And Brent's give me a hand signal here. Go ahead.
We haven't had a new guest on in a long time. And it's my shtick.
Oh, I forgot. We do have one question.
I do have one question for everybody. If you've ever listened or if you haven't, it's been a while since we've had a new guest on. We like to talk about this. It came up in a long time ago about lightsaber hilts. Mm-hmm. And it was a discussion about that we could go into a long story, but basically I wasn't on that day and they started hating on Count Dooku's curved hilt. And they said, who would want to pick up the curved hilt from Count Dooku? No one likes that. So I came on and I started to do like a whole like inventory survey of anybody who comes on our podcast for the first time. I have to ask you, what is your favorite Star Wars hilt of all time? Any Star Wars cartoon, animation, acolyte, whatever you want to say. What is the hilt that you think that you identify best with, or something that really strikes you as far as the hilt? So
Ross, go first because I have props.
I only own one, and that's the Sabine one because she's my favorite character in like everything.
Wow.
And I still don't know how I feel about her having a lightsaber.
Okay.
With how all of that works, but that's another story. But what I'll say is Asajj.
Okay. So you like the curve.
Yeah. And obviously Disciple there.
Mm-hmm.
But the two blades, how she used, like it works better for her to me than it does with Dooku, but it is a certain level of elegance with the viciousness that comes with it. So
yes.
I'm you know what? Everyone should have their own. Like, I don't want all the lightsabers to look the same. I think it's very cool that people try to come up with their own, and it should tie into who they are. And, my hat collection is ridiculous, but it's different color hats for different teams where it's just like, oh, that's not their color. And just like, you know what? This is what I feel like today.
Gotcha. All right. We're going with Asajj right there. That's good. And before Will goes, I will say we have all come around on Dooku. We did at the beginning of this podcast throw some hate on Dooku, but between the books, Count Dooku, Jedi Lost, we bought the figures. We've become big fans of the character throughout his history of Dooku. We were just ripping on him because I called him Stumpy because he got his hands and his head cut off, so he just had 3 stumps. And I mean, but
twice the pride, double the hands, dude. Anakin got his lick back. He loses one, he takes both. Come on.
There you go.
They also talked about, could you imagine making a toy out of that, right? And then like your kid swallowing the toy and taking him to the doctor, and he's like, "Yeah, but can I get the hands back? Like, I need those I need those to complete my."
All right, Will, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I showed it earlier. My favorite lightsaber of all time is Luke's V2 green from Return of the Jedi.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that lightsaber. It's specifically, it's the lore of it side of things of like, it's loosely based on Obi-Wan Kenobi's saber. It's also green to pay homage to Yoda. You can make those mental like connections there. A very long time ago, which it has not been made canon recently, that's supposed to be Qui-Gon's Kyber crystal. I'd love that as well as a big Qui-Gon Jinn fan. This is my favorite lightsaber in all of Star Wars. My second favorite lightsaber in all of Star Wars are Ahsoka's double katana blades. These are the coolest lightsabers of all time. Are you kidding me? And both of these lightsabers, in the same way this lightsaber was the new samurai sword for a new age of Star Wars in the original trilogy, and the Akira Kurosawa of it all, this lightsaber throws that right in your face and is so dang cool about it. As well as just the white blades are phenomenal. Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker are my two favorite characters in Star Wars. I refuse to pick. Whenever anybody says who's your favorite character, I say Luke Skywalker or Ahsoka Tano, and you cannot make me pick. My third favorite lightsaber of all time, Ross, I'm happy you brought it up.
Props.
Ezra's V2 that ends up becoming Sabine's. Every lightsaber in Star Wars should have a big red button on it. All of the lightsabers from Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon Jinn's, Obi-Wan's, it should all have a big red button or some sort of switch on it. I am a sucker for a thin neck light. There we go, Obi-Wan Phantom Menace. I love it. Every lightsaber should have a big red button. I am a sucker for a lightsaber with a skinny neck. This is in the same vein of this lightsaber in so many different ways, with the box, with the skinny neck, and that it's not so different for Sabine when she just adds an extra emitter plate on it. I love that. My fourth favorite lightsaber of all time, and I cannot believe you guys all did this, is Count Dooku's curved lightsaber. You want to talk about storytelling with props? There is nobody more pompous and exquisite and sword fighting style and fencing than Count Dooku himself. And then you add a little curve to it just to make it even with the extra hook, the tooth off of it. It is exactly who that character is. And when I think of Ahsoka Tano, this is exactly who I think of that lightsaber is. When I think of Luke Skywalker, that's the lightsaber I think of. When I think of Ezra, this is still the lightsaber I think of. But I know he has that new blue one. I love Kanan Jarrus. I just am not a fan of him getting that lightsaber again. Kanan Jarrus' first Glock saber is fantastic. Kanan Jarrus' first lightsaber, the V1, the compatibility of it like flipping and being a belt piece because he's trying to hide from the Empire. Dude, lightsabers tell a fantastic story for the characters. The only lightsaber that doesn't tell a good story for the character is Princess Leia's lightsaber. I cannot stand that lightsaber. It is the rose gold iPhone of lightsabers, and I can't stand it. This is like, it's a lightsaber that looks like it was made by somebody who just, who's this lightsaber for? Princess Leia? Princess. I'm going to make a lightsaber for a princess. She is so much more than that as a character. And that's why and also just we're talking about lore. Sorry, I'm getting on a soapbox here, but you pulled up one of my favorite things to talk about. If we're talking about lore here, who would have taught Princess Leia to build a lightsaber? Luke Skywalker. Who would the schematics have been built off of? Obi-Wan Kenobi. I love Princess Leia. I love Carrie Fisher. I walked down the aisle at my wedding to Princess Leia's theme. That's what I walked down with my mom and my dad to get there before I got married. I love awesome. Princess Leia. I cannot stand that lightsaber. That lightsaber needs to be launched into a cannon and shot into the sun because she needs a lightsaber that defines her character. And that is the end of my soapbox for lightsabers.
No, I love it. I absolutely love it.
The reason why I asked that question, and I did not realize I was going to get the rant that I was getting.
I apologize.
That's a good one. That was a great one.
So
very welcomed one.
Kind of going Chicago Bears vibe.
Nice.
I like it.
There you go.
Brent's in Chicago. Ever since that comment about Chicago.
Will free in my brain, so I.
I will also say with Luke's lightsaber, which is probably going to be the next one I get because Obi-Wan and Luke are my two that I can't separate. That snap hiss green in indoor when that speeder bike is coming his way and he just booms and it just comes up. Oh my god!
The sound font of Luke's ignition has been my text tone for 10 years.
Oh, awesome!
anytime at 3 a.m. if I forget to turn my phone on silent and I get a text message, my wife and I, pew, we're like, what the heck?
That's fantastic.
Yep.
Okay, now we've gone to the 2-hour mark.
That was
I've been
my favorite
trying to say I didn't want to keep you guys too long. So, D-Doc, you started off this show. You bring us. You start us around the horn here. Any closing thoughts before we break away from episode 383? Can't believe we're almost at 400 episodes.
I'll say to start it off, Will and Ross, I very much appreciate you guys joining us on the show, especially for a 2-hour 2-hour marathon tonight. You know, it's so funny because it's like Ross bringing up like talking about the cage match and everything, and there's so much about the Mando movie that like I know that after we do this podcast, I'm gonna be like, damn, I wish I talked about that or whatever. And we will talk about it on the future. But no, it was great having you guys on. And side topic, I finished the Lego.
Whoa.
This gives you guys an idea of the scale of this, because it's like the size of my chest. So this thing is incredible. The wings move with it when you turn it around, and it has, which I don't even know how they did this, but you can lower the platform here and you can have Django coming out of it, and then it's got this little lever and you push it, and it was one of those things where I was building it and I was just like, I don't even know how the hell they thought of this. So
did it come with any sonic charge
in there?
Yes. Right in the back. Can you see it right there in the back?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I mean, dude, look
That's
at
the best
back.
sound effect in Star Wars.
Well, guess what? That's the last piece you have to put in it. And I didn't see one of the pieces on the table, and I was pressing it, and I broke a piece inside of this, and I had to like pull it apart and rebuild the inside. I was up late the night that I did that, but she's glorious.
Beautiful.
Dr. Squatch knows. I've talked to Dr. Squatch about this set, and I know Squatch is going to get it one day as well. But this was like a golden goose of Lego Star Wars for me, and it has a stand, and it'll be behind me at one point. So this was definitely a Lego milestone for me.
It is gorgeous. I appreciate you sharing that. And Brent Dykeman, closing thoughts.
You. Thank you guys for coming on. That lightsaber segment was fantastic.
I think that's one of the best ones. I think that's the best lightsaber segment ever we've had.
I mean,
I apologize.
It's been a while since we've asked
It was awesome. No apologies.
Do not apologize. I loved every second of it. The only thing is, I will argue that Ezra's gun saber was better than where he's at now. So,
Brent loved the gun saber.
Because I feel like it fit. Like your whole point of that was that it fits their personality and it has to have some of their characteristic. And that gun saber fit who he was at the time when you first meet Ezra. That kind of like space Aladdin. So I feel like, again, like I agree with you 1000% that they have. I love Rey's new one that she made because it had parts of like the junkie. It had like it was like a junker that had like wraps of like that cloth around it. Then the gold came out of it, but I really like that hilt of hers because she made it her own. It was hers. Love Star Wars. Love everything about Star Wars. Love talking Star Wars. Love meeting new people that love Star Wars. So yeah, thanks for letting me come on late and shout at the clouds, as Michael Nip says. So.
You got it, Ross. I'll let you go. You said you were the lead. You were the lead, and Will's the main.
Yeah,
which is not true at all.
Guitar by myself without
This is
the
not-
other things. Waiting.
Set up for a bad show if I'm the headliner. My goodness.
But Joe, thank you for saying hello when we were at the event. So like, I don't get to know you, and we don't live that far away from each other.
Yeah.
Without you seeing the Fantha tracks and talking the shirt and saying like, oh, I do stuff with Mark and Mark as well. So I'm very fortunate to get to do stuff with the Fantha Tracks team as a contributor there. Getting to hang out with them in Japan was incredible because they have that tie with the 501st. We got to go to the 501st celebration there. So many things that opens up, you know, beyond what Coffee with Kenobi and Dan Zare and that community that he has built and put together that has so many of my close like text group and things like that. All that's incredible. You can find me on Instagram at PopStarIndy. So that's more of my Star Wars account there. Nerd account, Star Wars account. And then look for writing and other elements on Fantatrax. And otherwise, I work at Butler University. So go dogs. And I love to support, and I do podcasts for work there, which kind of keeps me from having my own doing other things because I'm working on 3 to sometimes 5 there. But working with students, working with faculty, working with VIP guests, it's the same thing. It's that found family. It's how are we educating one another? How are we understanding each other better? And I think Star Wars has set me up for that well since I was a little kid.
Nice. Well, it's great to meet you, and I'm so glad we touch base there at that event, because I think it's going to lead us down a good path here. I think we're going to definitely run into each other and do some things here in Central Indiana, and hopefully at some other events. So really looking forward to this friendship. And Will, how about you? Closing thoughts? We'd love having you both here, but Will, go ahead and finish up before I shut it down.
The final thing I say on pretty much every episode of Determined Focus, the podcast is called Determined Focus, because my favorite quote and my favorite lesson in all of Star Wars is the Phantom Menace, when Qui-Gon Jinn says, "Your focus determines your reality." And outside of the Star Wars lesson, that is kind of my mantra with everything in Star Wars. And it's also kind of my mantra with everything in life. Of whatever you focus on, you can achieve eventually, as long as you focus on it hard enough and do all the work. And your perspective on things is your focus. So something like a Mandalorian and Grogu, or any Star Wars project, if your focus is, I'm going to tear this to bits, or your focus is listening to reviews and out of theater 1-minute talks or projections for box office, and you're constantly thinking about, or even not even constantly thinking about it, but if you're constantly inundated with things that are probably going to be bad about this movie or negative thoughts, I guarantee you're going to go into that movie, and regardless of whether or not you're thinking of it in the moment, that's in the back of your head while you're experiencing it. Now, if you go in and say, hey, I'm probably going to have a fun time with this. I'm excited to see Star Wars on the big screen. I'm next to my wife. I'm next to my kids. I'm with my friends. I'm going to have a great time. I love Star Wars. You're probably going to like it a lot more. Outside of that, with everything, your focus determines your reality. I could not be more thankful to be on this show with you guys. I watch all the time. I'm going to be honest with you. I watch anytime you guys pop up on the live. I got my notifications for YouTube. I pop it on. So I'm listening when you guys are doing this. And I really appreciate it as a fan to be able to come on. Ross, it was great meeting you. As somebody who has been reading Fantatrax forever, it's great meeting you. I really appreciate being on. I'll talk Star Wars and talk everybody's ear off about Star Wars any day of the week. So I appreciate it.
And a bonus beyond this, well, thank you for working with the kids that you work with. That is,
oh my gosh,
that's what 501st does. That's what that's what it's all about. So you putting that time and effort into things, regardless of what you do with Star Wars, you make an impact every day. So thank you.
It means the world. I really appreciate it. It's all, I do it. And look, I mean, I really appreciate you saying that. They are the ones that when I get off of work, I have never had a day where I was at work and I was like, man, that was a bad day. So it's the best. And I love it. Well, and those are the people who should be made into Star Wars fans. And I'm doing it. It's a psyop. I'm doing it for Star Wars.
I love that we have two of you, because Brent definitely does some work similar to that and works with autistic children. Correct, Brent? And
I basically do the same job. I have a small. It's a second gig, so I do it as a part-time thing.
That's awesome.
I was going to tell you after we got off, but yeah.
No,
that's
but
really
I mean,
cool.
It's great stuff. I mean, I sit there and I go to work and I punch numbers and I make phone calls and I write emails, and it's like, am I doing something? Yeah, I guess I'm helping my career, but am I actually doing something where gentlemen like you are doing things that actually help, especially with our youth. So thank you. Look, I will say this, Brent, Alfie, and D-Doc, these guys know they are like brothers to me. We've been doing this now since the beginning of 2020, and we've become true brothers and great friends. And I think one of the fun things for me is meeting new people like you guys, and growing our friend group and people we can interact with. And I think Star Wars has done that. Star Wars brought all of us, Brent, D-Doc, and Alfie and I are all super diverse in our personalities, our lives, where we are in our lives, age-wise, family-wise, everything like that. And yet that found family we talk about, especially like in Rebels, Brent, where you and I always talk about it, that's what we've done here. And every time we have guests on like you, I feel like we just grow that, and we try to spread that positivity. Do we say negative things from time to time? We do. We're humans. But we really try to focus on the positivity. We want Star Wars to be successful, and we want the fandom to keep growing. I want my grandson who's 3 and my grandson who's 2 to come into my office like they do and grab the guys off the shelf and want to play with them and name their names. I mean, I want to leave that for them, and I want it to be that way for the greater society, to have Star Wars for years to come, and so people like you guys out there in the Star Wars community doing great things. We appreciate you. We appreciate you being guests. And really, for the people who followed us, listened to us, all that for almost 400 episodes, we can't thank you enough. And we just look forward to seeing where this all goes. And we think Star Wars is going in the right direction. So from the Rule the Galaxy crew, from Ross, from Will, thank you for listening to Chapter 383. And until next week, may the Force be with you.